Welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled about today's topic because we are unpacking the blockchain that sits squarely at the center of crypto's ever-changing narratives. It's a network that has built a massive reputation for pioneering some of the biggest trends in the entire digital asset space, and doing it all with this relentless focus on one specific game-changing metric. Get ready, because we're looking at Solana, and we are going to explore exactly how it works, what sets it apart, and why it is generating so much conversation.
65,000 transactions. Just take a second to process that number. What if a blockchain could actually handle 65,000 transactions in a single second? I mean, it almost sounds like a typo, doesn't it? But this massive theoretical limit is the foundational idea behind everything we're looking at today. It immediately grabs your attention because it completely changes the math on what decentralized networks can actually achieve out in the real world.
Section 1. Crypto's need for speed. Okay, let's dive into this and look at why this kind of speed was necessary in the first place and understand the historical bottleneck holding the entire industry back.
So early networks faced this fundamental problem. In legacy chains, every single node in the network had to agree sequentially on the exact order of events before any of those events could be added to the chain. Think about it kind of like a group of people trying to organize a massive list of tasks, but nobody can move on to the next task until everyone universally agrees on who did what and exactly when they did it. It made things incredibly slow and deeply inefficient. The solution to this bottleneck required a radical shift, finding a way to perfectly synchronize the entire network.
And here is exactly why that synchronization was desperately needed. Back before Solana's ambitious launch in 2020, speed was genuinely one of blockchain's biggest hurdles. You had Bitcoin handling around, 7 transactions per second. Ethereum was sitting at about 15 transactions per second. They could only process a handful of actions at a time. And then you have Solana, designed from day one to break entirely through these barriers of scale, reaching thousands of transactions per second in real-world conditions, with that theoretical ceiling pushing all the way up to 65,000.
Section 2. How proof of history works. So how exactly did they achieve this leap? Well, it starts with the network's founder, Anatoly Yakovenko.
His background in distributed systems at Qualcomm led to this brilliant insight. He realized that if you could somehow add a reliable clock into a blockchain, you could synchronize the entire network and unlock this massive speed. Think about that reliable clock metaphor for a second. By standardizing time across the system, you totally remove the endless debate among nodes about when something happened.
So, the crucial point is, how does this clock actually function? It's called proof of history. It is a unique system that actively timestamps every single event before it even gets the chance to enter the blockchain. When you take this incredibly precise timekeeping and combine it with a proof-of-stake consensus model, the result is one of the fastest Layer 1 blockchains currently in existence. Let's move to how this builds in practice. It operates in this really elegant 3-step process. Step 1, an event or transaction occurs. Step 2, instead of waiting for the network to debate it, proof of history immediately slaps a highly precise timestamp right onto that event. And step 3, the event seamlessly enters the blockchain, completely synchronized with the rest of the network. No sequential bottlenecks, just pure streamlined efficiency.
Section 3. By the numbers. Because theoretical technology is great, but the real-world financial impact is where things get truly fascinating.
$0.00025. That incredibly tiny fraction of a single cent is the ultra-low average transaction fee on the network. When you contrast that to Ethereum, where fees can notoriously spike to several dollars during times of heavy network congestion, you instantly understand the immense practical appeal of this technology. It's practically free to use. And that practical appeal, it is translated into massive scale, powered by the network's native token, SOL, which handles staking and transaction fees. Just look at the tokenomics here. We are talking about a market capitalization of over $107 billion, making it one of the largest cryptocurrencies in the world. There are more than 540 million SOL currently in circulation, and the activity is nonstop, with the network regularly seeing billions of dollars in trading volume every single day.
This brings us to a very simple but incredibly powerful equation. High speed plus ultra-low fees creates the absolute ideal environment for highly complex, high-volume financial applications. Because it's so incredibly cheap and fast, it becomes the perfect foundation for things like high-frequency trading, issuing and trading NFTs, and facilitating tiny microtransactions that just simply wouldn't be economically viable on slower, more expensive chains.
Section 4. The Solana ecosystem.
Let's shift our focus from the tech over to the culture and see what vibrant communities are actually building on top of this architecture.
It is an incredibly active space. Despite any bumps along the way, this network powers some of the most diverse applications in the entire industry. You've got massive NFT marketplaces, intricate decentralized finance or DeFi apps, bustling decentralized exchanges, and complex lending protocols. It's also famous for being the home where crypto's biggest cultural trends tend to show up first, including the massive explosion of meme coins. It's quite literally the center of so many crypto narratives right now.
Now, what's really interesting here is DePIN, which stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks. This isn't just about digital money anymore. This is where communities are actually getting rewarded with tokens for building real-world physical infrastructure. We're talking about people collaborating to build out decentralized wireless networks and highly detailed digital maps. It's a fascinating bridge connecting the blockchain directly to the physical world.
Section 5. Setbacks and solutions. As with any ambitious technological leap, we have to look at the full picture here.
Tracing the timeline, we can clearly see the network's growing pains. Following its highly ambitious launch in 2020, the blockchain faced some significant hurdles in its early years. Most notably, the network experienced several high-profile outages. Naturally, when a financial network goes down, it raises very serious questions about long-term reliability. But the story didn't end there. As we move to the present, we see active development of major stabilization upgrades, like the much-anticipated FireDancer validator client.
So the developers haven't just ignored these reliability questions, they're actively building solutions to make the system far more stable and resilient. These massive stabilization efforts include implementing localized fee markets, so, one congested app doesn't take down the whole chain, ensuring quick protocol adoption across the network, and developing brand new validator clients like FireDancer to process transactions even more robustly.
And this brilliantly illustrates another massive advantage, the environmental impact. While Bitcoin relies on an energy-hungry mining process, Solana completely abandons that old model. Because it runs on proof of stake, where people secure the network simply by locking up tokens, it is wildly more efficient. In fact, the entire system uses about the same amount of energy as just a few thousand US households. It is a staggering environmental contrast.
Section 6. A vision for the future. So, bringing this all together, what is the ultimate takeaway?
The core thesis here is this ultimate base layer vision. They're aiming to be a network where transactions are lightning fast and fees remain incredibly cheap, all while being completely scalable natively. This is a huge point. They want to do all of this on layer 1, meaning you don't need to build cumbersome extra secondary layers or rely on complex rollups that bundle transactions elsewhere just to make the network function at scale.
However, we have to objectively recognize the ongoing debate at the heart of this space. It is fundamentally a question of trade-offs. On one hand, you are pushing the absolute theoretical limits of speed and efficiency. On the other hand, you have serious ongoing debates about the true level of decentralization. And as the history of outages proves, there are absolutely risks to stability when you move this fast. It's not perfect, and this debate is far from settled.
Which leaves us with this final, incredibly important question to ponder. Is moving at this breakneck speed worth the inherent risks? And will this speed-focused innovator ultimately define the next generation of decentralized applications? The technology is undeniably brilliant. The scale is massive, but the balance of stability and speed is the tightrope they continue to walk. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I will see you next time as we dive into another fascinating topic.